Hello, everyone. My name is Arthur Gauvin. I am the Partnership Coordinator at the Next Street Driving School. I'm here today to talk to you about new drivers in Connecticut. I'm going to take you through the whole process from start to finish, day you get your permit to the day you get your license. I'm streaming on both Facebook and YouTube, so I will be doing my best to moderate comments from both sides. If I miss your question, please email us or reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, any one of our social medias, and we'd be happy to answer it. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. I sent in both our YouTube and Facebook pages, I put on the new driver complete guide to getting your license, and you can follow along with me. There's a link in the description as well as the comments. So please follow along if you'd like. Download it for yourself. Have it for you so that you know what to expect, what your parents are, make sure your parents know what they have to expect and everything like that. So I'm going to go through it now. Let me get to this screen, and then we will go here. So as you can see, the link is right here. And again, I have it in both YouTube and our Facebook, so you can follow along like that. So if you are following along, when you click on it, it's going to bring up this, which is the entire guide. It's just, again, a step-by-step process of what you need to do, what you need to complete, along with all the paperwork that you'll need in order to get your license in Connecticut. I'm happy. I saw someone who, when I started, seems like they just started their classes Monday, Wednesday, and 2:30 to 4:30. So that's really exciting. I hope that this can be helpful for them and anyone who's interested in getting their license. So first off, I mentioned it right off the top, you got to get your permit. So with the permit, that's the one thing that we don't do at the Next Street. You can basically do everything else through the Next Street, but the permit is the one thing that you have to go to the DMV for. So if you have this, what you can do is, if you need to make your permit test appointment, you would click this link, and it's going to bring you to this page, which will have all of this stuff on here, Connecticut DMV knowledge test, and it'll give you an opportunity to make your appointment here. So you can either reschedule if you missed an appointment. You can reprint your knowledge test appointment confirmation, retrieve PIN, all that stuff. But we're going to go here to where you would fill out all the details that you need in order to sign up for your permit test. Now, just to bring us back a little bit, these are the places that you can go to in Connecticut to test for your permit. If you live near Cheshire, that's always one I recommend because it's only does permit test appointments, so it's usually a little bit faster to get an appointment and a faster in and out. So Cheshire's good, but there's places all over the state from Willimantic to Bridgeport. There's also a couple others. You can do it in Norwalk, and I believe that you can do it in the Stamford DMV Express. So look out for those, and again, you'll make your appointment at that site and you'll get it all taken care of. So you can't get your permit until you turn 16 in Connecticut. So the day you turn 16, have your permit test already scheduled. You don't want to have to wait to get your permit, because even though you can, and I will get to this in a little while, you can start your driver's ed without your permit. You'd much rather just get it all done, and not have to worry about that. So get your permit the day you turn 16, and you'll be good. So step two, well, actually, I kind of went over a little bit, but in order to get your permit, you have to prepare for your learner's permit tests and make sure that you have everything that you need when you go to your test. I did another webinar probably about a month and a half back that was all about permit testing, and it went through everything when it comes to permit testing. We even did a practice quiz, but it went through the checklist of everything you need for it and any other information that you would need about your permit. So I recommend going to our YouTube channel, or if you're already watching live on YouTube after this, check it out, look at it, and you'll get all the information you need if you need more for permit testing. So you would make sure that you are scheduled and you're ready to go. So we have a lot of resources when it comes to the permit test. So you'd go to thenextstreet.com/permit, and it's going to bring you to this page, which has 4 really helpful links that bring you to different things that help you for your permit, including scheduling your test, which is a link that I already presented to you right at the beginning. That's in our complete guide to getting your license. But you can also go through the process through here as well. I'll just show you that again. Again, it'll bring you to this page. Another one is downloading a free permit prep ebook. So this is our ebook. I'm going to just put in my information, Stanford, and we'll go info@thenextstreet.com. Again, if you have any questions, info@thenextstreet.com is always a place to go. And then you would do, I'm a prospective student. I'm going to say that I'm a teen, even though I'm not. And then I'm going to say I don't have my permit test date yet. So I'll go to here, and then you'd click to download it. You'd get this other really helpful ebook that goes through everything that's just permit. So it's almost as long as our complete guide to getting your license, except this is all about our permit. So we have a lot of good information, what to study, how to study. We have all of your information that you would need for if you're a resident, non-resident, if you are from a boarding school and you're just staying in America for a certain amount of time. There's a lot of different things that we have on here. So I recommend taking a look at this before you start thinking about your license, or as you start thinking about your license. Your permit, sorry. And then downloading the Connecticut driver's manual. So you would go here, and then what you would do is you'd go to driver's license, learner's permit, driver's manual, and then you'd go down to driver's manual, English or Spanish, and then you would click that, and what you're going to get is this. So it's not as pretty as our ebooks, but it gets the job done. It tells you everything you need to know, and I would recommend going over this. I know it might look daunting, but this has everything that you need to know in order to pass your permit test, all the different laws, all the different information, signs, everything, because a lot of people think that they can just kind of go into the permit test because they've driven with their parents their whole life, but to be honest, the permit test is usually a little bit more in depth than that, and you might miss some questions that you weren't expecting. So study, which brings us to our next link, the practice test. So we offer free practice permit tests, which again, you would just put in your first name, last name, email, info@thenextstreet, phone number, I'll put 203. Yeah, this is our phone number. Stanford, prospective student. I'll say I'm a teen. No, I have it scheduled. And then you submit, and it's going to bring you to here, and you can take as many practice permit tests. All these questions are ripped directly off of the DMV website. It's just a little bit easier to use. It doesn't crash, so this is a great place to practice your permit tests. take as many as you want. We usually say that you want to get 5 in a row where you pass, and then you're in good shape. In order to pass your permit test, you need to get 21 out of 25 questions correct. So make sure that you are passing every time before you go out and take your permit test. So I'm going to actually close that now. So that is basically all of our information about permits. We have the 2 ebooks as well as a link to the driver's ed manual, which is something that you're going to need. With the other part of getting your permit is that you have to make sure that you have all of your identification, everything you need in order to get your permit. So you need the 2 forms of identification. Usually that's your passport and birth certificate, or your social security card. You want to have, hopefully you have all 3, but if you don't have a passport, that's obviously fine if you have a birth certificate and social security card. And then 2 pieces of mail with your proof of address. So anything, it has to be, marked through the mail, has to make sure that it went through the mail. You can't just throw a stamp on it and expect to get it. Just have your aunt send you something, or, send yourself something through the mail, and that's all you need. You just need 2 pieces of mail with your address, your glasses or contacts if you use them, and then the DMV fees. So it's $40 for the testing fee, $20 for the actual physical permit. If you are an international student, you would need a Social Security letter of denial, but that is a very specific case, so it probably won't apply to you. Okay, so we've studied for the test. We've gotten our permit. We're good to go. We're ready to rock. And then we want to move on to actually signing up for driver's ed. So with driver's ed, the way that you're going to, hopefully you choose the next street. That's always what we would recommend. But regardless of who you choose, you want to make sure that they are an accredited driving school, and everything is up to snuff with that. So you will find a driving school. You'll sign up. When you take your driver's ed, you will have 2 options. You could either take the 8-hour course or the 30-hour course. No matter what, the 8-hour course is incorporated into the 30-hour course, so you will always have to take the 8-hour, but the 30-hour is what we would always recommend. That comes with 4 behind-the-wheel lessons, as well as just more information about driving, and it also generally gives you discounts for your insurance company, as well as shortens the wait time from when you can get your driver's license. So if you take the 30-hour course, from the day you get your permit, you only have to wait 120 days in order to be eligible to test for your license if you complete driver's ed. If you do the 8-hour course, you have to wait 6 months. And that is just, if you're 16 or 17, that's just the way that it is in Connecticut. So we always recommend doing the full 30-hour course. But if the 8-hour course works better for your schedule, that's fine too. So I'm seeing a couple questions in here. Just to stop really quick, because I think they're all permit related. So I'm just going to answer a few questions, and then we'll get back to the guide. So let's see. Yes, I got my permit. I already have my permit. Do I just do the 8-hour class and then wait a certain amount of days? So again, 8-hour class or 30-hour class, like I just kind of went over. If you already have your permit, then you'll be fine. As a result, are the results instant for your permit test? Yes, you know exactly that day, right after you take it. It tells you if you passed or failed. You'll be able to reschedule in that day. Generally, they do it at the DMV so that you can reschedule right then and there. Also, how long does it take to actually get my permit? So the physical permit usually comes in about 2 weeks. The DMV usually says about 2 to 4 weeks, but they give you a temporary permit in that time. I can say their practice test is really good and they're safe. It helps Yes, I really appreciate that. Could you repeat that? I'm not entirely sure what that was, but I will go over I think you're talking about the 8 hour versus the 30, which I'll go over again quickly. Can I start doing the 30-hour training with someone with 4 year license? So the the 30-hour training is all through the driving school. So let's get back to that actually, because now we're getting questions on that. Okay, so the 30 hour of classroom training, right now we're doing it all virtually, which has been a really good thing for us. It's made us a lot more flexible with our schedules. And you can, so it's all done with a licensed driving instructor. And then the 8 hours of behind the wheel training is also with a licensed driving instructor. When it comes to any more training, you always want to be practicing at home. I always kind of relate it to baseball, where I can teach you how to swing a bat, but if you don't practice at home, it doesn't really matter what I taught you, you know? So you always want to be practicing at home. I always recommend with the driving lessons, which we're going to get to, that you just, it's more about quantity rather than, you know, it's more about doing it in consecutive days rather than doing a big chunk on a Saturday or something. So after school, ask your parents, hey, can I drive you to the bank or to the grocery store? And that's how you're going to get best prepared for your test. Um, Oh, yeah, no. So it is just the 8 hours. If there was any confusion there, yeah. So the 30 hours is in classroom training, and then the 8 hours is behind the wheel training. The 8 hour safe driving course has no behind the wheel training included in it, but those are your two options. So we've selected a few driving lessons. It's now time to get behind the wheel. So during COVID, obviously, we've been very cautious. I recommend you going on our website and looking at all of the safety precautions that we've been taking throughout this time, and just learning more about that, because I think that's some really good work that we're doing and ensuring the safety of both our students and our instructors. And so I recommend you looking at that. But when it comes to driving lessons in general, they're always 2 hour blocks. You're with a licensed driving instructor that has been trained through our program, and they teach you all the basics along with some of the more technical skills. And another big thing that they teach you is what to expect on your test. They know exactly what the DMV is looking for, as opposed to your parents. You know, maybe they haven't taken their license test in a long time, or they've picked up some bad habits. So it's always good to get a professional driving instructor to at least give you a couple behind the wheels, if not more. That way you are ready for your test and just, feeling good about what to expect. So you've done your driving lessons. You've taken the 30 hours of classroom training, which again is spaced out between 15 classes, which takes about 8 weeks. So you've finished everything you need to do. You've taken your driver's lessons, which you scheduled after you got your permit, and you made sure that you can take them. You've done all 4 of your driving lessons. Now it's time to check, when can I take my license test? So I have a couple of questions here. Wait, I'm confused because I paid for the 8-hour Zoom meeting. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but if you did the 8-hour class, that means that there's nothing to worry about. You would just take the 8 hours of online training. But if you paid for the 30, obviously the driving lessons are going to be in person. So let's see, step 5. So checking your eligibility in order to take your license. So as I said before, if you take just the 8-hour safe driving classroom training and you're under 18, it's going to be 180 days before you can test for your license, which is about 6 months. If you take the 40-hour or the 30-hour class with the 8 hours of behind the wheel training, it's 120 days before you can take your road test. When you complete your course, you'll be getting a CS1, which is basically this yellow slip of paper that tells the DMV that you completed your driver's license training and that you're good to go. I'm sorry, one page just closed. Let me just make sure that everything is good. Okay, yes. Sorry about that. So again, yeah, you get your CS1 and then you have your slip of paper. You've completed you've obviously gotten your permit. You've waited the amount of days that you need to wait, either 120 or 180. And now it's time to test. Take your license test. So you have two options here. Scheduling your road test. You can either go to the DMV or you can take your road test actually at one of our locations. So we have locations all over the state of Connecticut, including we just opened up in Springfield, Massachusetts. So if your cousin lives in Massachusetts, there's also going to be a place for them to take their driver's ed as well as their road test. So we always recommend taking your road test at our location. The biggest reason, it's not the DMV. You don't have to wait in line forever. You don't have to, be in a stressful situation. When you test at our location, it's super easygoing, relaxed. We have students come 15 minutes before their test so that a testing host, which is actually what I used to do, is there to calm you down before you take your test. They tell you basically anything that's going to be on the test that has happened that day, as well as answering any of your last minute questions and just kind of calming you down, being a calming presence. And then, on that 15-minute mark, since you've been there, you'll go out, you do your test, which is usually anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes. You finish your test, you've got your license, and you're done. So I skipped ahead a little bit with this, but if you take your tests at our location, there is a fee, but that also covers the DMV fees. And then whereas if you go to the DMV, it doesn't cover the DMV fees. So just be aware of that and make sure that if you want us to meet at the DMV and you use our car, that there will be additional DMV fees, which is another option too. So if for whatever reason you can't find a test, you want to go to the DMV, but you're afraid that your car might not pass inspection or you don't have one available to you, you can always use one of our cars, which is very helpful because the DMV is super strict about what will and won't pass inspection. If you don't test at our location, because we usually have all your paperwork in order, we have it ready for you to go when you get there, so that way you don't have to think about your paperwork. But if you do test at the DMV, you need a few things. You need your CS1, which again is that yellow slip of paper that I told you about before, that just explains that you've taken your driver's ed and you have your permit, you're ready to test for your license. And then you need a fully completed R229 form, which is something that we can obviously send you. And then it's just an information sheet that makes it so the DMV knows who you are, can identify you, and knows what to put on your license when you get it. Printout of your road test appointment. So if you test at the DMV, you'll get a little printout, like I showed kind of before. You'll get a little printout that says this is the time when you take your road test, and then you make sure you bring that along with you. You'll obviously need your learner's permit, glasses or contacts if you need them, and then again, if you don't use one of our vehicles, you need to make sure that your vehicle is properly registered. It will pass inspection. There's no tints. It has a valid motor vehicle registration certificate. Everything. It's all covered there. Your car is good to go. You have to make sure it's insured, obviously, and you bring that in. And then it's an $84 license fee, which you can pay cash, check, or Visa, MasterCard. And then if you are under 18, you have to be accompanied by either technically it has to be your trainer, but as long as it's an adult who drove you there, that's fine as well. If you're testing at our location, you need to bring a lot less. All you need to bring is your glasses and contacts, closed-toed shoes or closed-toed shoes, learner's permit, a fully completed CI-12 form, which that is something that if you do not bring, it's not the end of the world. We can always provide you with another one, but it just helps the process move along a little faster. And then paper photocopy of your permit or your actual permit, and then excuse me, and then an $84 check. So you've done everything, you've passed your license, or you've taken your license test, but unfortunately you didn't pass. What you would have to do is you have to wait 2 weeks or 14 days in order to be able to take your license test again. And then after that, you have to pay a reschedule fee with the DMV, but you can again test at one of our locations or you test at the DMV, whatever's easiest for you. So now you've taken your test, you've passed, you're done, you're ready to drive, but not so fast. There's a couple of restrictions that you just have to follow in order to make sure that you're being safe on the road and you're not going to get in trouble. So for the first 6 months, you can only drive with people who are either your parent or legal guardian, and they have to hold a valid driver's license, or a person who is at least 20 years old who's held their license for 4 years with no prior suspensions. For the second 6 months, you may drive for the second 6 months, you may drive with your immediate family. So you can have your brothers and sisters. And then until you're 18, you can't drive between 11 and 5, 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. unless of some sort of emergency or employment, school, all that stuff. And then until you're 18, all people need to use seatbelts no matter what, even if they're in the back seat and they're over 21, it doesn't, or over 18, they have to make sure that they're wearing a seatbelt. You also can't use any sort of cell phone, obviously the basic cell phone laws, but then you can't even use hands-free. It's technically not permitted that you have any video display, so not even a GPS. And a lot of people get a little confused with the GPS thing, but I always kind of frame it like this, where the GPS, it's showing that you don't know where you're going. So when you have to use a GPS, you're going to an unfamiliar place and you're taking your eyes off the road even for a second to see the GPS. And it's also just another distraction. So you want to make sure that you're not using any of that. Okay, you're done. You've done everything. You've passed your test. You know what you have to do. You know what the restrictions are. Now it's just time to enjoy your freedom. Okay, so that was basically all the info that I have. However, I'm here to answer any questions that anyone has and go through everything. So I have a few questions in the chat right now that I will be getting to now. So I got my driving test, or in a week, I got an email about quizzes I need to take. Before, I think I did them when I did the 8-hour quiz. Are they different quizzes? So Ben, I think that might have just been like a system error or something. So I would recommend giving our call center a call and making sure that all your quizzes are valid and good. And I'm sure that it was just a system error. So don't stress about it. Just prepare for your test and give us a call. Make sure that's all good. Okay. Finish the driving test. How long? Okay, you said I answered that. Why do you have to wear a seatbelt until your 18th birthday? Isn't wearing seatbelt imperative while driving? Yes, of course. So the reason why that law is in place, the people in the front two seats, so the driver's seat and the passenger seat, you always have to wear a seatbelt. No matter what age you are, it doesn't matter. However, in Connecticut, in the back seat, if you're over 18, you don't technically need to wear a seatbelt. If the person who's driving is over 18 and has had their license for a certain amount of time. So make sure that you are aware of exactly what that is, because you don't want to be having people in your back seat not wearing a seatbelt and then you end up getting in trouble for it. So I hope that kind of made a little bit of sense. Okay, so any other questions? Sorry. Any other questions? Just to recap a little bit, I'll go through this really quickly. You basically need two things in order to get your license in Connecticut. You need to get your permit, which you can do at any one of these locations. And we have a lot of stuff, thenextstreet.com/permit. I'll put it in the chat. That is a good link, and that has all the information that you need for that. So if we don't bring our car on test day, on the day of our test, do we have to? No, so if you test at our location, it's already understood that you're going to be using our car. You always use our car when you test at our location. If we meet you at the DMV, again, you use our car. If you test at the DMV without us, then yes, you'll have to use your car. But anytime that you're testing with us, you're always using our cars. And then, yeah, so you get your permit. You make sure you have everything the day that you go and pick your permit up. Make sure you study. And then you take your driver's ed. You can either take the 30-hour course or the 8-hour course. The 30-hour course, which is the full driver's ed course, that has 8 hours of driving lessons included and will generally get you insurance discounts, as well as shorten the time that you have to wait to get your license from 6 months to 4 months. If you just take the state minimum, I should say, required 8-hour safe driving course, you'd have to wait 6 months to get your license, and that doesn't include any lessons. But you would take your driver's ed with us, and then you get behind the wheel, you do your lessons, however many lessons that you take. Once you're done with your driver's ed, you make sure you're eligible. You've waited the right amount of days, either 180, which is the 6 months, or 120 if you did the full course. You make sure you have all your paperwork together, schedule your road test, and then you're good to go. You pass your road test. You make sure that you know all of the restrictions for 16 and 17-year-olds, and that's pretty much it. Is your license test just on the road, or is there an additional written test? So the written test is when you take your permit test. So you don't have to take a written test when you take your license test. It's just behind the wheel. It used to be like that where, it used to be like that where you would take your license test, or you take basically a written test and then you take your permit, your on the road test. But when you take your permit test, that's all you need to do. Okay, so any other questions? I have a couple things to plug. I do webinars every single week with different topics. Generally, they're mostly driver's ed related. We are really excited. This coming month, we are going to be doing insuring a new teen driver one, as well as buying a new car with your teen. So there's a lot of good stuff coming, and I would recommend that you follow us on our Instagram, our Facebook, YouTube, anywhere that you generally are on, even TikTok. We just started kind of doing stuff on TikTok. We're getting with the times now, and follow us there. And we have a lot of information about driver's ed, as well as just some fun content and more webinars just like this. So our YouTube channel is one of the things I'm most proud of. I do a lot of these webinars, so check those out, and yeah, it's free information. And we have professionals come on and talk about it. Again, with the Insuring a New Driver webinar, we had a person who's been in the insurance industry for over 20 years come and talk about it. And then with the Buying a New Car webinar, we're going to have, we're partnered with Shaker Auto Group. So they're going to come on and talk about, what exactly the process is, what to look for in a new car, and just kind of making it a little less stressful for you. So if you have any other questions, you don't just have to call the call center. You can email us at info@thenextstreet.com, or you can message us on any social media. We'd be happy to answer any questions there. And also, I'm on here every week doing these webinars, so come on and ask me a question in here. But I think that's pretty much it for today, unless I have any other last minute questions. And if you missed any of this, it's going to be automatically uploaded onto our YouTube and Facebook pages, so you can rewatch it and kind of get whatever you missed. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate all the comments. Thank you all so much for being here. If you enjoyed it, please like it and follow us on one of these, and you'll get notifications when we go live. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to play you out now.